Cool. Oh, boy. It's waiting for the host to start the meeting, but I wasn't the host. Give me a moment. I can do this on my computer. Oh, the joys of technology. Okay. Come on. All right. Cool. Let's get you guys started.
Yeah, I thought I was looking at you.
That's the work today.
How would you not know though? Really?
Yeah, I'm waiting. No worries, if I get booted out, just send me a text and I'll just sign right back in. But let's do it right before I have to talk, because I really have to get back to this deadline.
Hello, you are on live now, so just give me a moment to get you on the screen, but we'll get you introduced here. Pause and
Okay,
stand by.
so is my segment ready to start?
Yeah, pause and stand by.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Technology, check.
Check. All right. Hey, we're ready to go. Thank you so much for your patience. We have privilege of having 3 composers in the house with us today. Oh, yep, I'm going to mute that. Pardon me. I'll mute the screen.
More technology fun?
Good, got it. Okay, so we're going to start with quick introductions. We're going to introduce Erin Keeton-Howard, Megan Vinther, and then we're going to
Oh, good. I love when that happens. We're going to see Michele Vinther.
Michele Fernández on the Zoom. So if we could please, Erin, if you'd like to come up and give a quick introduction.
Okay, we have some fun microphone things here. So I'm going to use the other microphone. It interferes with the culinary. So let me get the other microphone. And you're a band director. You can just talk full voice. So this is Erin Keeton-Howard. Please welcome her to the stage.
Hello, my name is Erin K.H. I use she, her pronouns. I am a band director as well as a composer. I went to school to be a band director. I had no idea that I wanted to be a composer. That was never the plan. In 2020, I had some free time. Maybe you can relate. And I was really sad that I couldn't go do band. So I decided to try interacting with music in a different way. I wrote a piece called Wanderlust, and it started with one little melody that I was singing walking around my house, and then I wrote it down, and it became a piece. And I was in the right place at the right time, and I submitted my piece to a composer who was starting his own company and looking for new composers to publish. And 5 years later, I'm still composing, and I teach part-time down in Capitol Hill High School Band, and then I compose part-time. So it has been a really fun merger of my 2 passions to get to come to schools and hang out with awesome student musicians and talk about music and talk about it as a composer, but then also work on the music as a band director. And I'm really excited to share the piece Woman with you today. They've worked really hard and we've had some really good discussion about it. So thanks for having me here.
All right, next up, quick introduction, Megan Vinther. Please welcome her to the stage.
Hey, thanks so much. My name is Megan Vinther, and I teach at Everett High School, and then I also compose music, and I do the concert band at Edmonds College as well. My story to composing is kind of Erin's fault a little bit. I started writing music when I was really young. I started playing piano as a small child, and I have always written things and like made up songs and had like a brief period of time where I thought I was a singer-songwriter. And when Erin's first piece, Wanderlust, came through, and like we've been friends for several years, I was like, that's something you can do. Like, how do you even access getting your music published and getting it played by students? And so she kind of gave me she's like, here's what I did, and I was like, well, I could do that. And so I was able to submit to a publisher and had my piece published. And so my first piece was called Who Sings When Skies Are Gray. And it's been 3 or 4 years at this point. And so I just feel really lucky and honored to get to do this, to be here and talk about music and to work with students. And seeing my music played in real life is just a real thrill for me. to get to hear people perform it is pretty special. So thanks to Mr. Mahaffey for having us.
Thank you. All right, so Michele is online. She says she can hear, but you can't see us, but we're here, Michele, so I'm gonna unmute. Actually, you can unmute. I think, can you try talking and I'll turn the volume as needed? Oh, still muted. Let me check. Oh, my computer's muted.
Are you able to hear?
There we go. Let me unmute. Oh, time out. That's electronic stuff. Remember this. Okay.
There's a lot of.
Yep. Let me do that. I got this. This worked fine with my mom. What's going on? Let's see. Pause.
Mute your microphone, but not your speaker. On the computer.
It always does it when people are watching. Here we go. Microphone. And here we go. Try again.
Yes, because I had to log in on two computers. We're going to make this happen, folks.
All right. This is why you do sound checks. One more.
Can't hear a thing. Except just a bunch of static.
Okay.
She should be able to do it now.
Okay. Okay, try again. You're typing, she's not feedback.
Can you guys hear me?
Yay!
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Dexter, we can
Oh, there you
hear
go. Okay.
you.
I can see you, but now I can't hear anybody. Okay, you can hear me just fine?
Yes.
Should I start my intro? Yeah? Okay, cool. So, hi everybody, my name is Michele Fernández, and forgive me for laying back here on the couch. I'm feeling very under the weather today, and on top of that, I have a big publisher deadline that I have to turn in, so I'm furiously working on my laptop on a new piece that I'm writing. So, it's great to have you all here today. Thank you so much. I guess we're talking about how we got started in writing. My story is a little bit heavy, and I'll keep it short, but just to share honestly with you how I got started in writing. I started out being a young high school band director in 1989. I was 21 years old and came back to teach band at my old high school. So I actually looked like one of the kids. And I started writing pop tunes and things like that for the marching band to play in the stands. And never ever had any thought or desire or interest to publish at all. And by the time 1998 came around, I think I was in my late 20s, and I had gotten married, and my husband and I found out that we were going to have our first baby. And right before that, our band got picked for this very high-profile event in Chicago. It was an international band clinic where directors from all over the world were going to be there to hear groups perform. And I decided that I wanted to try, even though I didn't have a composition degree or anything like that. My degree was in music education. I decided to try to write a piece as our closer to honor the little baby, because I knew that by the time the performance would come around, I was going to be 5 months along, and he was actually going to be in my belly, or she. At that point, I didn't know if it was a girl or boy. So when it came time, we played the piece on this international stage. The audience had a great time with it, and it was a very special feeling. And after it was over, I put everything, the score, it was a handwritten score back then, I didn't have a computer. Handwritten score, the handwritten parts, and the cassette performance cassette in a box. And 3 years later, we lost our little boy. He passed away. His name was Sean. And I was so devastated that I took that box with his piece that I wrote with the cassette, and I threw it out. And I just never wanted to see the score again or hear it. And my husband saw me, and he took the box and hid it. And it was hidden for 17 years. And I found it accidentally about 4 years ago, right before COVID hit. And I remember opening the box and looking at him and saying, "What was this?" And he said, I didn't want you to throw it away, and I thought maybe someday you would want to hear it again. So he said, "I put it on MP3 for you." And I heard it. It was very intense. And actually, it was so intense, I posted the experience of hearing my son's piece again on Facebook. And lo and behold, two very famous composers, one of them, Alan Baylock, and the other one was Mark Taylor, who happens to be my husband's uncle. Anyway, they both called me and said, "You got to get this published." And I said, "No, that's my son's piece. I don't want to do that." And then one of them said, "Well, wouldn't it be great if your son's piece could bring joy to other kids?" And when he said that, it was like, bam, you know. And so I sent it to a publisher, Hal Leonard, and they usually take weeks to respond, if not months. And they actually texted me back the next morning and asked me if I would like for them to publish it. They wanted to, and then they asked me if I had anything else. They wanted more things, and that's how my publishing career got started, because of something that I wrote for my son years and years ago and thought I had thrown away. And because of this, at 2 o'clock in the morning, if a melody jumps in my head, I feel like I know for sure that kids that I'll never get to meet, you guys, get to tap their feet and feel some joy and forget about whatever it was that maybe troubled you in math class or at home or on the playground or whatever. So I think all composers feel the same way. Not that I would dare to speak for any of them, but when we write late at night when everyone else is asleep, we hope that it will bring joy and healing to anyone that plays our work. So anyway, thank you for inviting me today, and it was great to hear our other composers' stories. And I love both their music, by the way, so thank you for that, and I really appreciate all of you. And I'll wait for your director to give me a text. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. I was having, oh, great. Let me get, percussion. Let's get set up for La Fiera, if you're not already.
So Michele didn't talk about this specific piece, so I'll give you a quick background on it. It's called La Fiera Asturiana. Spanish folks, you know what that means? The fiery person from Asturia. Do you guys know where Asturia is? It's in northern Spain. So Michele's paternal grandmother was a flamenco dancer in Spain, and she never met her, but her dad told her all about her. And she passed away from cancer when her dad was about 6 or 7, so she never got to meet her grandkids or anything. But when Michele got inspired to write music and stuff, she wrote this piece, and she told her dad she was going to write this piece to honor her grandma that she never knew. So this is called La Fiera Asturiana, and it's got some flamenco in it. It's got a little storytelling through it. It's got a playful part where you can kind of think about the 6-year-old boy watching his mother be a dancer, and we hope you enjoy it. Let me do 2 more quick things. Why don't you guys go ahead and tune, and then we'll get started. All right. I hope that Michele was able to hear that online and approves of our performance. We're going to go, Megan, you're going to go next, and we're going to play a piece by Megan Vinther, and we'd love to have her tell us about it first.
All right, that piece was so cool. I really liked that. So the piece that they're going to play of mine is called Farallones, which it means cliffs. There's a national wildlife refuge just off the coast of San Francisco. That's the Farallones National Seashore Area. It's really diverse biologically, and it actually, because of where it's situated, caused the late, quote, discovery, right, of San Francisco Bay, because it looked like it was part of the shoreline. And so people didn't realize, folks that were doing the exploring and colonizing, didn't realize that there was an inlet there. And so it was kind of like later that was realized. I started this piece out as a septet, so a group of 7, like as a chamber piece. It was for a group in San Francisco, and I didn't end up finishing it. It wasn't a commission, so it was fine. But I started it, and then it got stalled, and so because I'm kind of a nerd, and I was doing it for a septet, that's part of the reason why it starts in 7. It's like there's 7 people, let's put it in 7. And Erin and I have had discussions about 7 and why she doesn't think it should exist in music. But so it started out that way, and then I expanded it to for full band. But I left in like string bass was one of the instruments that was in this septet, as well as piano, and so I kind of left those things in there as a part of the piece to kind of keep the roots of it a little bit. But it's inspired by the national seashore there and the kind of cliffs, and there were many shipwrecks that were there, so it's a little piratey at the end. What were you saying the other day, Erin, that like some things either like
All music is love songs or pirate music.
love songs or pirate music. So this is pirate music.
Yeah, pirate love songs.
Yeah, pirate love songs is my next big genre. So this is Fernández.
third composer you've already met, but I'll bring her back up again. And Erin Keeton-Howard is going to come tell us about the new composition. I think this is the 4th live performance of it. So she can tell you a little bit about that. Brand new piece of music. And please welcome back to the stage, Erin K.H.
Okay, so composers write music for a number of reasons. Sometimes it's because they're inspired by a melody, sometimes they're inspired by a cause, sometimes someone gives them money and says, write me music about this. Sometimes a publisher's like, we need a piece that's this difficult and this many minutes long, write it for us. This piece, Woman, was for me. I have done several commissions, working with different schools who are looking for a piece kind of tailor-made to their program. But this piece I wrote after kind of thinking and feeling through the experience of being a woman for several years. Initially, this idea came to me after Roe v. Wade was overturned. And this piece is not political. It is just a reflection of my thoughts and feelings around being a woman in this country, and also a woman in this field. Band is primarily male-dominated. Megan and I were talking on the way here. We're both published with multiple publishers, and all of the editors who are essentially the gatekeepers of getting your music to the world, all of them are men. Carl Fisher, Randall Standridge Music, Alfred, Big Music Publications, Joe's, Hal Leonard, all of them. And our editors are fantastic. Like, hat tip to them, thanks for publishing our music. They're all really great, but it's just really interesting that women are just not in the field in those positions yet. So in this piece, you're going to hear a lot of different styles and themes. You'll hear things that sound really powerful, things that sound really vulnerable, things that sound angry, and the end is a banger. So please enjoy Woman.
All right, thank you so much. That was fantastic. Nice work. Okay, folks, let's do a quick transition. We're not going to take everybody's time for a bunch of time, but why don't you just real quickly just take your instruments, not your music, and just come have a seat here. And then I'm going to just bring a table out here, and we're going to bring Erin and Megan out just for a little quick question and answer. So just come, go that way. Go that way. Stage left. Awesome. Give me 1 minute. You've been so patient back there. Thank you. I'll be right with you.
Hey everybody, can you come down to the front?
Yeah, now you've heard the concert. Come on down.
Yeah.
Stretch your legs. Come on up. Yeah, come join the band. Actually, we're going to hand you a clarinet, and you're going to sign up for band. No, come on in. Come on up. I know. They're my concert black samples. Come on up, have a seat. Come on up, have a seat. There's seats right here. Yeah, come have a seat. Go around. Go, there's seats there. Okay.
Nobody, there's only about 4 people in this room know what you just said. That's cool.
Pretty typical. All right. So this is the mic that maybe cuts in and out a little bit. But if anybody has a question for our composers, you can either shout it out or I can hand you a microphone. Who has a question for either Megan or Erin or both?
I was wondering who your guys' favorite composer is.
That's a really good question. It depends on the type of music. I like lots of different kinds of music. Currently, I've been listening to a lot of Joel Ross. He's a jazz vibraphonist. I really like his music. It's very like ethereal and kind of spacey and kind of meditative. I like his music a lot. For band music, I like Carol Britton-Chambers quite a bit. She writes really fun music, and like all of her stuff is like everything's a hit, right? Like she's a really, really great composer. And I think like classically, it's got to be like the Russians, like Tchaikovsky and Shostakovich are like hard to miss with those.
For band music, I was raised in the Midwest, which is like band country. And so I feel like I was raised on Granger, and I appreciate the like virtuosic folk music. But I also love Carol Britton-Chambers and Gerard Hall. They're also really awesome people. Composers are a lot, I don't want to say nicer, but they're nicer than band directors. They're like super open to helping you, and you can just, I mean, even all of you, if you have a question about music, you're playing by a living composer, you can just go to their website and send them a message and they will write you back. So that's cool. I also, when I'm listening to not band music,
I live in like the singer-songwriter, Brandy Carlisle, Lumineers vibe. Give my ears a rest.
Who else?
When you're sort of struggling to make music, like when you have creator's block, what's a strategy you use to like get over that?
So every piece, Brian Bowman just told me when I was having this problem, he said every piece wants to be written differently. So sometimes it's sitting at the piano and playing around until it locks in. Sometimes it's going for a drive or sitting at the beach. Sometimes it's doing something else and then coming back to it. If I'm really stuck and I have to write, I will sketch out an outline just like I do for writing an essay, where it's like, okay, this is the main theme, here are supporting themes, this is the arc, this is the journey, and then I'll write in some like descriptive words, like in my piece Woman, there's like a routine and resonance section at the beginning, and then an inner voice section, and then there's the dance of demand. And so once it becomes more story-like, it's easier for me to craft that picture sonically.
I'd say my process is pretty similar to the things that Erin described. If I do get stuck on something, I'll tend to like go do something else, which is not necessarily, with my particular brand of ADD, is not always the best for like finishing something. If I go do something else, then like that turns into like 7 more tasks and nothing gets finished. But I also like get really nerdy sometimes, and we play in the Seattle Women's Jazz Orchestra together, and I like pulled my folder out and this like Chopin Nocturne fell out, and Erin was like, what is this? I was like, oh, I was just like doing a harmonic analysis on it for fun. Because that's what I was like, I had gotten stuck writing and I had been listening to something else, this Chopin Nocturne, and I was like, I'm just gonna do a harmonic analysis of that and see what these chords are. And she's like, you're a giant nerd.
I do not do that.
I will also say we send each other our stuff.
Yeah.
Like Megan's usually the first person I send it to, and she'll be like, I'm gonna be honest, this is weird. This part here is weird. I want to look at that. But this is really awesome, and you should do more of it. So having a trusted friend to share your creative projects with is really important.
How long does it take to like make a piece?
That's really depends on what it is. I've had things that, well, back to my ADD, I had a piece that I had a deadline for that I was supposed to be finishing, and my son is a musician as well. He just graduated from college, and she's giving me that look. He just graduated from Juilliard School of the Arts, so he's kind of a big deal. He had a quartet, so he plays upright bass. He had a quartet while he was there that was bass, vibes, a French horn, and trumpet, and then eventually the trumpet player graduated and became a clarinet player, which was convenient because they're both in B flat, right? And so he had asked me, he's like, can you write us something because there's not a lot of music for that particular group of instruments? And I was like, I have a deadline tomorrow for this other thing. Sure, I will write you a piece. And so I wrote like a 3-movement piece in like not very much time. And met my other deadlines, so yay for me. But it just kind of depends. Some things take a long time, and some things take a lot of like versions to happen.
Yeah, it really depends on. So I'm like a very type A person. I really like a schedule. But it's like I like the schedule because then I can figure out when I can go be frivolous and pursue adventure, which is how I would like to be in the world. Creativity doesn't really respond to schedules. Like I can block off time in my schedule and be like, I'm going to compose, and that may or may not happen depending on if it's ready. Sometimes I can write a piece, like especially if it has something catchy. Like I wrote this piece, Joan of Arc, for a middle school band, and I got to the double bar line in a day, but Then it went through like 3 or 4 more drafts, but like the first draft was done in a day because I was like really into it, and the ideas just kept coming and coming. And sometimes I will write as much as I can and then notice that I'm spending a lot of time on the same measure and it's not going anywhere. That means I need to step away and give it space to roll around in my head. Jody Blackshaw told me this: the best ideas come to you when you are in the shower or trying to sleep. And that's pretty true for me. I have a lot of voice memos in my phone of me like in the car or on the way somewhere, just like humming ideas that will come into pieces. So I also am neurodivergent. I think a lot of artists are, and it just depends on where the motivation goes.
So just to direct for this piece, how long did each one of those take? Like, Farallones, and of course they're still going through some iterations too, but how many?
Yeah, Woman took about 9 months because I knew I had a long time, and I didn't want to rush it, so I kind of wrote each theme one at a time, and then it's under exclusivity right now, which means that only the people who bought into the consortium or the publishing group can play it. This band is one of them. You have the rights until the end of 2025, and then I will publish it. And some of the things we've done in this performance, like the bells up for the horns and the mutes, no other school is doing that yet. You were the first. So I will write that in, informed by your performance.
I honestly don't remember how long it took to write Farallones because the publishing pipeline is so long, right? I submitted that piece. That piece was released basically a year ago, and I submitted it probably at least a year, 18 months before that. So like you send something into the publisher, and then sometimes you get a response quickly. Like we get them a little more quickly now that we like have established relationships with our publishers. But sometimes it'll be like months before you hear back. Like I think Michele was talking about that as well. And then if they decide to do that piece, like yes, we're going to take this for publication, then it could be another year or 2 sometimes or more before that piece actually like makes it through the whole process, just because of there's many different factors, but some of it is like the publisher doesn't want to like put out 5 tunes that are all at the same grade level that are all a ballad, you know, and so it might get pushed out because they've already got like that slot is filled. So
Like movie releases.
yeah, I mean it just like sometimes it just gets pushed out. Actually, like the first piece that I submitted to Carl Fisher Publishing is called Central Park Waltz, and it was just released now, like this month, right? And like I submitted it like 3 years ago, so it's a process. It takes a while.
I think we have time for one more question. So, okay. Ian?
From your experience with composing music, what is the most important life lesson or experience you have learned that we can all hear from also?
I think for me, this whole process of like becoming a composer like for real, right? Feeling that like what I had done for the past 40 years writing music wasn't like real composing because it just like never like left my piano bench or whatever. So I think for me, it's been this journey of validating the work that I've already done, regardless of it seeing an audience, right? That art for the sake of doing art as an artist matters. Like we as creative humans need to create, and it doesn't always have to be commercially viable, right? You don't always have to turn your art into dollars. It's nice when that happens, for sure. But at the same time, I want my music to have meaning for me and to be something that makes me joyful and feeds my soul as a human being. And so I think going through that process of like, the external validation, yeah, is really nice. Like, seeing groups play my music and like seeing it out there on the internet and like people buying my music and playing it feels really good. But that can't be like the be all end all of it for me. And so I think finding that pathway as an artist and kind of staying true to what my music means to me and not like turning it, like, I don't know, I see stuff all the time about like, you don't have to monetize every hobby that you have. Like, I like to sew, I like to do these things. Like, it doesn't have to be, it can just be because I like to do it. Like, I don't have to be the best drawer in the world. If I like to draw, I can just do that.
I think the two biggest things that I've learned from being a composer, one, patience. Patience is not my gift. But I've found that if I just try to cram things down on paper, it never settles, it doesn't feel correct. And so if I just wait until it really clicks for me, it's going to be a better product. Music has always been the one thing that teaches me patience, because you can't cram the night before for a performance. You can't cheat off your neighbor. There's no cheat codes like video games. Like, you just have to do the thing. So I really appreciate that about music. And then I did not grow up in a musical family. My parents are hugely supportive, but not musical themselves. And I struggled in undergrad with things like music theory and didn't play piano until I was a grown-up, and that was rough. And what I learned is that you just have to have an idea, and everything else is figure-outable. I actually Googled like how to get your music published. That's where it started for me. I just Googled it. I was in a group chat with some other band directors, and we were talking about how do you get your music from your computer to J.W. Pepper, which is a distributor. And so I Googled it. What else do you do in the pandemic? Yeah. So the message here is you don't have to have any certain credentials to do things you've never done before. You should just try it. If you're excited about it, if you have an idea you want to explore, do it. Everything can be figure-outable with a good idea and hard work.
I've got one more kind of philosophical question maybe for you. The 20th century Romanian philosopher Emil Cioran said that music is the only thing that should go on forever. The only thing. Where do you think that sentiment comes from? I think it's a powerful sentiment.
Music is the only thing that goes on forever.
That should go on forever. The only thing. What is it about music?
Can mean a lot of different things. I mean, music is storytelling. It's an oral tradition passed down. It is communal. It is celebratory. It is traditional. It marks ceremony. It's joyful. It embraces sorrow. And I mean, we're biased because music is our whole life. So I could agree with that. I mean, food and water also perhaps, but I think music can be for everyone, and that's not true for very many things.
I was texting back and forth with my son a few weeks ago, and he was sharing with me his like final dictation project where he had listened to this like medieval music and had to transcribe it and write it out. And so he sent me the piece and he sent me his transcription, and I was listening to it. And my husband and I play in an Irish band, and so I have this kind of strong connection to like folk music. And very similar to these Irish tunes that we play. Like one in particular, I was like, this reminds me of this particular piece. And I said it to my son, I was like, if you think about the like, big historical picture of, you know, the Catholic Church and expansion and whatnot, I was like, this makes sense, that like how these would be connected. And then like music that I write is informed by that as well. And so I do think that there is an eternalness to music because of how it passes through us as people, right, and how we share it. That like folk music is folk music. We use, you know, regardless of where it comes from. It's music of the people. And you could argue that like any type of music is folk music. Like as band members, we are our own kind of people, right? Choir members are their own kind of people. That's a culture that then that music comes through. And so I think that, you know, that kind of heredity of music moving through time and space and people, I do think that's very eternal. I think of like, you know, growing up and sitting in the back seat of the car with my parents and like listening to their music growing up. And so then what are the things that like I'm drawn to as a musician? You know, what things influenced me as a child? Like what, you know, what music are my children listening to that we're forcing them to listen to in the car? And like how does that inform their taste and choices? And so yeah, I do think that you know, music, as Erin was saying, you know, is celebrated. It's something that we use to mark time and space and experience. There's very few rituals that we have as a people that don't include music.
Correct.
Yeah. It's also a reflection of humanity.
Thank you.
On that note, I'd like to thank, first of all, everybody for being here. I had a professor in college who used to try to remind music teachers, everybody in the room could be somewhere else doing something else. So you could have chosen not to come to school today. Your teachers could have chosen to keep you in fourth period and not bring you here. So thank you for being here. They both have regular day jobs that don't do this, so this is they chose to be here. So let's just please give them a more round of applause for being here. And thank you, everybody. So I'll dismiss Benda and Borth's class. Please go first, and one ensemble hang tight, and I'll give you some instructions. Thanks, everybody.
My class is probably easier to do on this